Well, we have to watch him. I mean, obviously he'll let us know, right? I don't want to sit here and say he's going to only has X amount of innings this year. I don't think that's necessarily healthy for any athlete to go out there and compete knowing that he's going to have a certain limit on them.
All right, let's get our next guest going on FT Live. He is the general manager of the Chicago White Sox, joining us right now. His first year on the job, Chris Getz. Chris, how you doing, man? Congrats on the job. We haven't had you since all of that. And how was spring training?
Thanks for having me, guys. Spring training was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. Obviously, my first go at it as a new general manager here with the White Sox, but we put a lot of work into working towards 2024 and beyond, and to be out in Arizona at Camelback Ranch with new front office hires, some additions to our coaching staff, and others throughout the organization, along with new additions to our roster. It was fun just to have it all centralized and being able to lead this organization in this position. It's obviously a big responsibility, but I really enjoyed it and excited about tomorrow.
Well, Getzy, first of all, thanks for coming on. I'm glad you wore your standard GM front office gear with your quarter zip that every GM front office person has to wear at all times, anytime they're in public. So thank you for meeting the uniform mandate. Let's start with what you said. First of all, obviously, a lot of White Sox fans. I'm a White Sox fan, and what as the new GM, what did you see? Let's start here at the beginning. When you were in the minor leagues and you were the minor league coordinator, what did you see that your predecessors were doing that you said, I'm going to change that right away? And then what did you implement to start on that road to changing those things?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously got a fair amount of experience within this organization being a farm director. And a farm director, the beauty of it is it, kind of touches all different areas of the organization, the international process, the amateur process, analytical process, the major league club, all those, that entire operation. I mean, I think any experience that you have within this game, going back to other organizations I've been with, going back as a player, front office, what have you, obviously here as well, there's some things that you're like, all right, I think that part of it I really think is valuable and something that you want to apply in a role that I am now. And then there's some other areas perhaps that need to be tweaked and adjustments along the way. I mean, foundationally, and I bring up all those different areas, right? We're talking about certainly PD, and you're talking about amateur and international, your medical, and all the pillars that make up an organization. I want to make sure we're really sound in all those areas and we're not cutting corners, and making it a collaborative effort, right? I mean, it really, what gave me the most excitement about being a general manager was really bringing it all together and having the opportunity to get insight from different experiences, both from people that are that have been here with the organization or others that I've been able to bring in. So that part is something that was a priority of mine to really focus on underneath what's going on under the hood of the organization. Now, obviously, the top of the organization, the major league team, that gets all the attention in the world, as it should be, right? I mean, that's where that's what fans are tuning into on a regular basis. And you look at what we've accomplished here the last couple of years, it's been disappointing, right? And there's various reasons why I believe that happened, but it's my job to find those solutions and use the experience I have and the people that we have to solve those. I really wanted to prioritize our defense. It's something that really had gotten away from us. I know with conversations that we had with potential free agents that were coming into the organization, talking to their agents, it was a concern on the pitching front. We had players that didn't want to come here. And obviously you want it to be an attractive place for guys to want to play. So, we went out there and we feel like we're in a much better position up the middle at shortstop and second base. Obviously we got Louis Robert. We brought in Maldonado and Max Stassi and really built out a catching core to help, very much direct the traffic on the field. And ultimately looking to raise the IQ of this team, to go out there and be able to compete on a regular basis and have players that understand how to play winning baseball. So We feel like we're in a good spot. Is it a finished product? Of course not. Are there areas that we're going to need to continue to improve? Of course, and we'll stay on top of that. But foundationally, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot.
You mentioned IQ, and you also mentioned the fact that you were really excited about being a GM. Yeah, you really wanted. You saw the salaries of GMs. I know we played together for a minute in the minor leagues. Nobody wants to make minor league money, and now you're a big league GM with your quarter zip. So I get that. I get that. But you mentioned IQ. As the player development guy, do you feel like some of that IQ development happens in the minor leagues and then you supplement the big league team? Because I look at who has gotten called up from the minor leagues from the White Sox org, and some of those guys barely even played in the minor leagues. You think Luis Robert, like when you talk about IQ, the guy was almost a finished product when I saw him in Charlotte, and he had played like 6 minutes in the minor leagues. So do you feel like part of that as a player development guy could have been on your player development staff too, in the sense that, hey, we call this guy up, he's bringing that IQ? Or are you talking about like veteran IQ?
It's a combination of both. I mean, you look at the development process of players, right? And um, when it comes into the decision of guys that are being called up to the big leagues, quite honestly, there are a lot of there's a lot of people involved in that. And but when you're talking about a farm director, your PD staff, and what's stressing, what are you stressing with the coaching and the expectations, all those types of things, that stuff can't really change right now. The actual process is a guy need to be at this level and this level and check this box and this box. You want to be a little bit more perhaps deliberate and prioritize and make certain areas more important. But the talent is really going to win the day. When it comes to being successful at the major league level, you have to have players that have incredible talent, and then obviously you want to raise the IQ in those players to the level of the best you can, but also supplement it, like you said, with players coming from the outside. You get a Paul DeYoung and Nicky Lopez. You look at our bullpen with John Brebbia coming in and Tim Hill, guys that have been around the league a little bit, that have experienced a lot, and then can be kind of mixed in with that core group, perhaps that came up in the minor leagues together. So when I say raise the IQ, it's really awareness. It's baseball IQ. Running the bases a certain way, taking the extra base, understanding situational baseball, and being able to execute at a high level. So, but yeah, it starts from the players that we're acquiring, whether it be on trades and in the draft, international signings. Obviously, you execute a player development plan, and then you graduate them at an appropriate time to be able to go out there and perform at the highest level.
All right, Getz, hang on one sec. I was just checking my texts from you. I played for the Royals, right? Well, I mean, I was on the Royals. I didn't play. You brought all the Royals in, and I didn't get a... Hang on, I'm just going to check my history. Is it Chris with 2 S's? No? Okay. I never got a call. What was kind of the precipice of...
We're not done yet. We still have time for that, Kratz.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like you're in a pretty good spot, though. Are you looking for another job?
No, I'm not looking for another job. But you never know. My career, I'm always getting fired, so I always have to talk to people. But I'll call Barfield. If I need a job. I don't need to go to the head honcho right away. What was kind of the precipice of, like, a lot of Royals guys came over? Was that a group think? Was that a, in a sense, like Pedro and, your connection with Dayton? I know Dayton's, over with the Rangers, but like, was that you saying, hey, we made all these connections when I was with the Royals, or was it just something that happened based on the market?
Yeah, I mean, you go through an interview process for certain positions. Obviously, this is the first time I've been the general manager of the Chicago White Sox, and but I, just like anyone, when you're building out let's say a candidate pool, more often than not, you're probably going to go. You've got your own history and you've got others. When it comes to kind of my process in terms of hiring, gosh, I mean, you bring up Josh Barfield, for example. I never played with him. He wasn't in the Royals organization to my knowledge, but he was someone that that has a tremendous reputation in this game. We were both farm directors, so we got to know each other a little bit just because we were running around the affiliates and in certain meetings during the off seasons. But there is great value in bringing in a Paul Yanish and a Josh Barfield and a Brian Bannister that have been in various organizations. So their network and their pool of candidates for the hiring process, so we can be diverse. Just so we avoid the group think. Obviously, there's a level of trust that you have with some individuals because you've perhaps worked with them. But I certainly want to be open-minded because we're only going to be able to push the envelope if we're open to different ideas and be creative in finding areas to improve in an organization.
Chris, when you took the job, you just mentioned it's your first year as the White Sox GM. Does Jerry come to you and say, Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, and say, this is your budget, you have to stay within these lines, and there's no going out of it? And then do you fight back on that and say, hey, if we can sign XYZ player, this can help us not only now, but in the future coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I have yet to meet a GM that isn't given the parameters, financial parameters to go out there and put together a team or build an infrastructure. It's an ongoing discussion. I think more than anything, and I keep on going back to like building the foundation of the organization in these certain areas. We've made a lot of changes within our facility at Arizona. We're focused on our Dominican Academy. We've improved, our analytic department, sports science, different areas. So there's different ways to kind of put the focus in regards to using your resources. And then you obviously mapping out your major league club. What's your current payroll? What are the projections for future years? Where is your team currently? Where are our prospects within our minor league system? How close are they to being ready to help our major league club? And the contract status of certain players on your club. So there are a lot of different factors. More than anything, underneath in the organization, I want to make sure we're in a good spot. We've got to look at what our needs at our major league club, and if we feel like now is the time to go and convert or at least recruit some free agents to come in that are going to cost X amount of dollars. Obviously, it's a bigger conversation. So really, yeah, Jerry or any owner is going to be a part of it. Whether you look at the past of spending within this organization, when there's someone out there that we feel like is going to help our club, Jerry is very open-minded and wants us to have a successful major league club, but we've got to justify it too. And I take ownership in that. And so I really just want to map out a plan both here in the short term, the midterm, and long term, and then go out there and plug our needs if need be.
Chris, next year, 2025 is going to be a pretty epic free agent class. I know you can't comment on exact free agents, but the White Sox are one of two teams that have never spent $100 million on a player. Do you think Jerry will give you that grace at some point to say, hey, guess what? We need to sign a guy for 5 years, 150. Do you think that's coming? Because that is one of the biggest gripes when I talk to White Sox fans. Why won't Jerry spend X amount of money on X player?
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, we've got a lot of players on this team that need to go out there and perform, and this roster needs to take shape. So I can't sit here and say we need this player X next year for us to take it to this level. I think we got to have a better understanding of the group that we have. Now, when it comes to what you're talking to of a certain amount to go out with this player, I think we've gone after free agents in the past, whether it be Manny Machado and Wheeler, stuff that's been out there publicly. And Jerry's been really supportive, but I want to make sure it's the right player at the right time for this organization to go out there and spend. And we have to feel like it's going to help us to be successful in the near term.
So, excuse me, I wanted to ask about the Dylan Cease trade, but I'm going to give credit here to Greg here on Twitter. He said, did the Cease trade start picking up steam due to the Cole injury? Maybe Preller having to act moving quickly before Cash and the Yankees jump back in. So that's part of my question was, Garrett Cole goes down, all of a sudden the talk started heating up. Was there a lot of conversation with the Yankees? And, how did that all unfold here when he actually got traded?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of interest in Dylan Cease, as you would expect. And, interesting offseason. I think just free agency, the way that played out, and teams were very measured on, all right, we're going to go out, we're going to try to make a trade here, or we're going to chase this free agent, but we don't know how long that's going to take. We had the international players that were coming over here as well. That's always a kind of a different process. But once we got to spring training and teams saw Dylan in person, because quite honestly, after the year that he had last year, which was a little inconsistent, there was a little hesitancy and reluctancy, I think, based on, obviously the superficial numbers, but even the stuff to a certain extent, where early in spring training and then throughout, he was up to 98. His slider was 80, 60, 88. His command was strong. And once teams really started, watching those games and following that information, it became to heat up. Obviously, there were some injuries. You pointed to some of the Yankee injuries. It really takes motivated buyers, right? And in AJ Preller and the Padres, they were about to head to Korea. He was trying to really set his roster, get a strong idea of what they were going to have on opening day or when they returned. And then we had some other clubs that were there and right in the mix, right into the end. And in the end, we felt like the Padres package was the best. And ultimately, we had to weigh whether it was, all right, is this a deal that we take now or do we take this into the season? And we felt that it met a threshold that we were comfortable with and really excited about the group that we brought in.
I'm bringing up another fan question here. Even though I'm a fan of Chris Getz, it's not my question, okay? But Chris Gonzalez asks, what improvements do you have to see from Grifol going into the season? He's talking about the manager, Pedro Grifol, for our fans.
Yeah, I think, I remember being asked this as a player early on in my career, probably way too young to even be asked this from a major league manager. But he asked, what do you think, what makes a good manager? And, it was very easy for me, get the most out of the players that you have. And so I've never really changed off of that and that mindset. So obviously there's tactical stuff, the X's and O's, which is a huge part of being a manager. But ultimately, you've got to look at your roster and the players that you have, and are you getting the most out of those guys? Because if you are, you're probably going to be in a pretty good place. So the measurement for me is really, are we getting production out of Crochet and Soroka and Fetty and Kopech and Brebbia and Wilson and Garcia? Are Paul DeYoung and Nicky Lopez, are they sound up the middle, which we anticipate they are? You look at our lineup, and Benintendi looks really good right now. Is he going to be productive? You got Moncada and Eloy. You got Andrew Vaughn and Louis Robert, of course. And so if you're looking at, these core players or some of these additional players are going to be joining the roster at some point in the minor leagues. All right, what are we getting out of these guys? Is our manager, our coaches, are they preparing them? Are they motivating them? Are these guys ready to play and they understand what it takes to be a winning ball player at the major league level? So, that's the most important thing for me, quite honestly. And if I was a manager, I would expect the same thing from leadership from above. So spring training was really good. Players are chomping at the bit for tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing how this plays out.
Getzy, what's a successful 2024 for you as the GM, your first year? What's successful for you?
Yeah, I think we've got to earn the trust of our fans back. We've got to establish some credibility. Okay,
hold on. I got to hold on before you dig in. Isn't that what Rick said? Or didn't Rick say that last year? We have to earn the trust back. And I understand you're different than Rick, and it's a new regime. You did both go to Michigan, though. Trust me, I'm sure you guys are both talking Michigan football. I understand. But didn't that what Rick said last year? And then last year happened, right? So then now we're into this year. So okay. Sorry, I didn't mean I interrupted you. But yes, explain to me that, and then explain to me how you win the trust back, because that was kind of going to be my next question. Why should fans come and watch? Why should they tune in to watch the 2024 White Sox?
No, well, first of all, there's just tremendous truth in it, right? I look at the team that we have and where some of these players are in their careers. We got Garrett Crochet, who's going to be a starting pitcher for the first time in his career. And going back to what he looked like in 2020 when he obviously, it was a quick development path for him and gets to the big leagues. But, the game kind of revolved around him once he got up to the big leagues. And the stuff that he showed it was dominant stuff. And now to get the opportunity to have him as a starting pitcher is really exciting. We've got Mike Soroka, who was one of the top pitchers, in the game. And then he was hit with some serious injuries. And he's had just a tremendous spring training. He's throwing his sinker again. His slider's really good. He's got 4 pitches. He's a horse. We got Eric Fetty, who just, won the KBO MVP and had one of the most successful seasons in history over in the KBO. And to have the opportunity to bring him back here to the States and show, what he's capable of doing at the major league level, just those 3 in themselves, is exciting for the White Sox and White Sox fans. Obviously, these guys need to go out there and perform, right? That goes without saying. And we've got Kopech now in the bullpen. He's had once he transitioned, he looked like a guy that's got a chance to get some significant outs at the end of the game. We got Jordan Leisure that we got at a trade deadline last year, who had almost a flawless spring training, is going to be really impactful in our bullpen. We got Davey Garcia that we got in a waiver claim that was nothing short than awesome in spring training. And so I look at our pitching staff. We've got a lot of weapons there. We really do. And then we're talking about, those 5 guys at the front of our lineup, that if we can get 140 plus games out of those guys, I think we're going to be a really good spot. So there's a lot of pieces to like in this team. Obviously, I want to get the most out of these guys, and Pedro and his staff, that's what they're determined to do. But, you're faced with adversity every season. But more than anything, there are a lot of pieces to get excited about, and we're going to go out there and compete. I do feel like that we're going to play smarter baseball, cleaner baseball. So fans, obviously time will tell. And tomorrow's game 1, and then we just go from there.
Okay. I'm going to hit you with 3 questions really fast. 1, because I know you have to go. Yeah, Bob Bechtel, I'm sure, is behind the screen going, "Let's go. Time. Let's go.
Time.
Let's go. It's my time now. It's my time." So first of all, is Crochet on an innings limit?
Well, we have to watch him. Obviously, he'll let us know, right? I don't want to sit here and say he's going to only has X amount of innings this year. I don't think that's necessarily healthy for any athlete to go out there and compete knowing that he's going to have a certain limit on them. But the way that I look at this and our staff is, all right, let's exhaust him as a starter. And at some point, if we need to adjust, we do that. But in the meantime, let's go out there and see what he can do as a starter.
Okay. 2 is closer is.
That's to be determined. We've got some guys that can do it, and that'll take. It's going to take.
I thought it was going to be the guy you just mentioned. That's what everyone's kind of hoping for.
Kopech?
No.
Michael Kopech?
No, the rookie.
Jordan Leisure?
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a chance to be in that role. As a young player, he hasn't played in the big leagues yet, and you want to get him comfortable, but he's got the stuff to do it. And as you know, it's not an easy role just to jump right into. Those leverage situations can test you a little bit, but the makeup and the stuff is there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he evolved into our closer.
Okay, then last one for me. It's kind of a 2-parter. What can we expect from Yoán Moncada this year? Because number 1, again, another question I get all the time is, what do we get out of Moncada? And then 2, when are we going to see Montgomery in the major leagues?
Yeah, Moncada. Listen, he came into spring training ready to go. He knows this is a big year for him. Defensively, he was really strong. Obviously, he's a switch hitter. He can get on base, and he's got some power. I think he's going to have a good year. I really do. So much of this is going to be health. It really is. So he's going to have to manage that, which he's shown he's done in the past. But really, it's about consistency for him, so he can go out there and be the talented player that he is. And then you ask about Colson Montgomery. He's a special player. He is. He's got maturity in his game for a guy that hasn't played a lot of professional baseball. He's very under control in everything that he does. We're going to have him start at AAA. I just want him to go out there and put together, quality at bats, make the plays at shortstop, and kind of go from there. He hasn't had a full season under his belt. He was nicked up early in the year last year. Once he got to Birmingham, he was really productive, and he had a strong fall league. So we'll get him to Charlotte. He's going to be with one of our best managers there, and Justin Jerschley and that crew, and I look forward to seeing that play out. But to say I don't know, he's going to let us know at the end of the day. He is, but I'm very confident he's going to have a strong season too.
Chris, appreciate the time, man. Perfect timing too, coming off spring training with everything that you just saw. So thank you. Good luck in the first full season here, running the ship, and we'll hope to catch you down the line. All right.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Good luck as
Thanks,
well.
Getz. Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.